Hi.
Hello, how are you? Are you wanting to give your update?
So I passed my midterm evaluation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, yeah. Like I said, it's pretty much a formality, and so,
Yeah.
this is just something that we have to do. But I also like to give people kind of a heads up on what the next steps are. So, in the next
Yeah.
part of the program, we have to work on getting the project to some sort of completion. We have to kind of reach an
Yes.
endpoint. Now, I know that like we're kind of open ended with our schedule, but I think it's
Right.
we find a stopping point where you see the last week of the schedule and you say there's a lot of things I could do, but what do should I try to aim for, you know? So you could keep working on this for a while, but you can't because you have to end the project and turn it in. And so what we
Right.
usually do is we usually try to find a good stopping point, and then we maybe make some issues for later work, and then we write up our results. We build some documentation, and then that's what we submit to the program. And so
Okay.
that's
Right.
usually how we do things. And then, you're welcome to work on it after the project endpoint. Work on the issues or whatever. But
Mm.
we have to have a deliverable. I guess is the lesson. So what is
Right.
in the
Right.
deliverable? You know, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Hello, Jayadratha and Morgan.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, hi, Bradley.
Hi.
Uh,
So, Jayadratha, would you like to give an update?
sure. Yeah. So this time I have created this data set, DTDG data set. So whatever we had, this one, the pre, post, and number of synapses, uh, we had this raw data, and from there I have created this data set, and like we have 8 different timestamp, and for that we have 8 different graphs. So this is not complete though, but I have tried um, here. So like the thing is, uh, at first I uh, like summarize the data. So from T1 to T8, and it's like appearance, based on appearance, and like number of edges, that is how many connections are there. Like this is one edge, and connection strength, that is a synapses. This is what I have created, uh, like total 225 nodes and 8 timestamps. And here like I did one thing, node ID. I mean, for each node, so I have taken each node out, and all unique nodes I have given them a ID for creating the graph data. And here I have saved this data, uh, like different kinds of data, that is DTDG age, temporal age, and then like summary statistics and these things. So I'll show one by one. This is the nodes, and these are the ages I found. So for each timestamp, so for L1 stage, this is timestamp 1, and that is time 0. And I have, since I have given node ID, so ADAL is source ID 0, and this ADAR I have given ID as 1. So I have created like this way. So here ADAL is 0 source ID, and AIBR, it has given, I have given it as 13. So this way I have created the source to destination node, and each distinct node. So total number of source is 225, 225. 225 number of nodes are there this way. And then in this here I have created the like the network growth analysis I have done, and I'll show those also. So this is a summary of the data, uh, like number of pages, how many number of pages are there, and out of them how many electrical and chemical connection are there, like and then uh, average synapses per age that that we have, that I have shown last time only. So here I have created this CSV file, and here we can see as the like from L1 stage to L8 stage, this average number of synapses that also increase, and other statistics like here I have shown the connectivity connection density, uh, and that also like you can see it increased through from L1 to L8 stage, and average in degree and out degree, like how many for single node, how many connection in degree means how many uh, like uh, edges that are connected to that node, the starting node, that we have taken the average. Here also it increase with time, and out degrees the destination node, how many average connection that is there. This way I have done. uh, and these are like variable connection and development and stable, those connection, those analysis also I just segregated. So this is the thing I have done for this week. I didn't do any visualization this time, and the goal is now I have created this data set uh, and kind of analysis. And next week, what I'll do is I'll do all kind of visualization. So for each timestamp, what are the data that is available, and its uh, like what kind of uh, what do you call it, uh, like how the temporal data that evolves over time, that I'll do like this way from birth to adult, how these connections grow. And also I'll try to find if we can see all these kind of neuron uh, and mark it, like sensory neuron, modulatory neuron, motor neuron, muscle neuron, how it is evolving. I mean, how like these connection it strengthens over time. That is the goal for next week.
All right, that sounds good. Um, yeah, looks great. So yeah, you had to get through this assembling the dataset phase, so that
Yeah.
looks good. And you have those visualizations that you're working on previously. So are you going to try to fit these data into those visualizations, or?
uh, like this uh, I mean, this visualization will be little different than last one. This is like the neuronal connection that is evolving through. So I'll try. I mean, whatever mm, uh, the connection. I mean, whatever is well suited for this kind of data, like this one, from birth through adult, how this connection grows. That we'll try to see. So it will be little different, but I think concepts will be same. uh,
Yeah, yeah, looks good.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Also this paper really, I didn't get much time to read this one, and I think this has lot of things, um, lot of things are there in this paper, and I think in my analysis it will be certainly helpful. So next week I'll explain this paper as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I did send you that. That was a pretty good.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I'll go ahead. I don't know whether Sarah is joining. Like I spoke to her yesterday, she said she'll be joining, but I don't think she's joining today.
Okay.
So I'll update her and then I can update her some other time.
All right.
Mm, yeah. And so, alright. So for week 8, I was supposed to work on the resilience quotient, which I worked on in week 7 itself. So in week 8, I started off with the UI part so that we have a graphical user interface. Like I think last year Sarah had one on TikTok, so I have something similar. So these are the two metrics. So as I explained last week, that over a few steps the metrics improve and then they go above 0.8 and they stabilize. Like this is for the harmony index, and the resilience quotient, it depends on how it is performing. So it goes up, like it's stable first, then it goes up, and then it reduces. So yeah, and then this was the heat map. So this time I've actually increased the agents, and I have 40 agents right now. So it works the same. Like it takes a lot more steps to work, but it's the same. It's more or less the same thing. And anyways, the graphical user interface, it's pretty simple. I just have like a window which opens, and then you can manually change the number of steps that you want to have and the number of agents. So earlier it was hard coded and it was around 15 agents and 7 steps. So now, like as the user wants, you can change the number of agents. So I was testing the 40 agents through this. Anyways, it's the same thing. We just have a graphical user interface, but the code base is the same. So 40 agents and then around 17 steps. So this is how you run it. But now the use of the graphical user interface is that it allows you to clear the logs or save the logs, and when you see the outputs, like if you see it in the normal terminal of VS Code, which I was using, you can't see it, like you can't see all the steps, you can just see the last 7 steps. So it worked well for 7 steps, but then again, if I would increase the agents, I could see only the past 3 steps. So over here, I can actually see sorry, I can actually see uh, all the logs that I have, and then I can compare better, and also it is better for the users as well. So, yeah, this is about the logs. And yeah, so I updated the readme accordingly, and I updated my like I added the weekly blog as well. But before I stop, I want to show how the outputs for okay, one sec. I just want to show how the outputs for all the weeks look like.
Okay.
Not all the weeks, sorry, with the multiple agents. So, okay, over here I started off with the 40 agents. And then obviously in the first step itself, you can't see all the 40 agents because after those 17 steps that I have set up, a lot of agents leave, like 2 agents per step leave. So out of 40, like C4, C6, C7, C9, and some agents were there. And also since it's the first step, you're still exploring, right? So like C7 hasn't done anything and a lot of more agents haven't done anything. But then, yeah, so here about the harmony index, it starts off with 0.4, it's not that great. And even the resonance quotient, anyways, it doesn't have any standard graph. It usually just increases and then decreases because the agents keep on leaving. And after a lot of steps, it actually involves more, like there's more exploration and exploitation going on. The harmony index improves. It's starting from 0.6 here. Same for the resonance quotient. And then eventually, after a lot of steps, we can see more blues over here, that we can see that more agents are doing more tasks and it's not just exploiting. So even over here, even if it's 100% over here, eventually it might have 1 or 2 failures. And then after a lot of steps, I had this graph, like it's quite compact, so you can't see, but I think, yeah, so like this is the output. And for this, like instead of the terminal, I have a graphical user interface now. So it still works on the terminal, but I have a graphical user interface.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah. So maybe like in the next week, I'll improve the graphical user interface, and then Let's see if I can add one more metric. I'll think of some metric. If I find some papers or something, then I can definitely add some metrics.
All right.
Yeah, do you have any suggestions on what I can do?
Well, I guess maybe after you get some of this work done next, maybe run some actual simulations. Last
Okay.
summer we were doing things with uh, doing tasks, designing tasks with the large language model, and trying to
Okay.
test out specific projects, which were collections of tasks. So you generate the tasks,
Okay.
you'd put the agents in that environment, they'd try to solve the tasks, and then get some statistics for the measures. So I don't know. I think we may have. I know that Sarah had been working on generating those. She might have some ideas for um, other things, but that's you might want to talk to her about how to do that. But that would be kind of
Okay.
nice if we could get like a lot of this, like actually see what would happen if you put different it under different conditions.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Thank you.
All right. Are you ready, Lalith?
Yeah.
There we go.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So, hi. So
Hi.
this week I got little time to sit down and write down the README file for the the visualizations and all. I documented a little bit. So how to run the scripts of like the visualizations, how you're gonna save it, what you're gonna see that from the visualizations and all. So probably I'll work on writing the README for the next set of files too. I mean, like I'm just initiating the document. So I actually pushed to the report too. So once I'll show what I have done, so that so just give me a second. I'll share the screen.
All right.
So prior to the week, I actually added the dynamic and the static hypergraph visualizations, where I showed like the kind of HTML file that we're gonna get. So I clearly have written like what you're gonna get if you run this script. So what are the requirements that we see in the data sets, and when you run this script, so for what it does and what exactly does it do. I have created everything a nice README file, and for the second dynamic visualizations, we will get a HTML file as an output. So I've mentioned that what kind of HTML you're gonna get as output and how we're gonna interact with it, and that's it for this week probably. And I thought of expanding this a little bit for the further. I mean like the hypergraph model that we're trying to develop. So I was coding a bit of like how to visualize the hyper edges. So as I discussed like star expansion in the previous meeting, so I wanted to do it in that similar approach, but I'm still facing issue like how do I visualize the embeddings and all. Maybe in the next couple of weeks I'll probably able to do that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that looks good. Do you have any visualizations you can show us now, or?
No, currently I do not have any visualizations because I was writing the code and I'm unable to get it in the format that I wanted to. So for the, I mean, like I've been working on it, but I'm unable. I didn't get this week, so I focused on the documentation part. So probably by the next week I'll be able to get the visualizations of the embeddings, like what the neural network has learned. So it was little tough writing the code to visualize the network's embedding space. And yeah, I mean, like I'll figure it out in this week probably, but uh, so that's for this week.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for the update. So you'll be working on the visualizations in the next week.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead and there we go. All right, so thank you for our GSoC updates. It looks like Jess is here. Jess said that he maybe couldn't stay the whole time. Are you able to, maybe say a few words?
Sorry, was that a question I missed?
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to say a few words.
This week has been good. I think I've maxed out some of the data and direction stuff. We have 3 solid interns, 2 people who wanted to join late, and sort of an external person. I'm doing a lot on the GeoPro server for that. I don't think actually the people who may be able to join most this meeting might be some of the local folks around Boston who are interested in doing things now. So no one's really joined this meeting. I was offering it, but it's pretty untenable because everybody else is in very different time zones. So maybe once or twice in the future over the summer that might happen. In general, a lot of tailored products are happening there. It's very much a first cohort, and I'm very happy with the work of it. But it's a lot of like really individualized projects, and I think I might do a little more. It's kind of tough because when you're starting out, you don't have an existing project for everybody. But we're next year that'll probably happen, or next time that might happen. I need to follow up with University of Albany because I'm supposed to meet with them. I think the person's on vacation about springtime, fall time internship programs as before. That was something that was stated, but I mean, it's kind of peak vacation time. So once people come back to that office, there'll be more there for our related things like that. And in other news that's sort of related, open source development, career, professional development stuff. I'm really impressed by I'm taking the micro MBA program at UCSD, the Brady School of Business. And I mean, as I said to somebody else, a colleague yesterday, like those things are kind of just waste of time and money stuff for just very obvious sort of cheap ways to make money for universities. But I'm really blown away by the quality of the lectures. And then you have these things called coffee talks where you can meet people in the field. And they've all been very experienced people so far. And you're supposed to take, 1 or 2 required. And I think I'm taking like as many as I possibly can because it's so valuable. Like meeting people that are in strategic consulting, innovation, management alliance, people who are sort of making the decisions or understanding, in the context of open source stuff, it's people that you might partner with. It's people that are calling the shots about things. I met with someone who was doing venture engineering. What is venture engineering, and these sort of startup development things. So when you're taking your code or project and building in something else, like it's been really exciting the last few weeks on that front to see where like the business side of things, which has honestly always been a little bit strange territory as someone who wanted to build useful things. But now I think I'm understanding sort of where I want to position myself in my role, and particularly when it comes to teaching people in here or like in the internships that we're doing or in a lot of the GeoPro mentoring stuff in general. I feel like, okay, like this has been actually really, really valuable. This week, the main coursework, if you will, was on strategic marketing, which is a lot of easy to cringe at that stuff, but what was distilled into lectures was quite useful. Thinking about what it is that you want to like about positioning and segmentation in a way that's was accessible and tenable and can be followed up on. So I mean, I'm very happy with what's going on in that program, and I think my little bit of recaps and ideas for this thing going forward is it's definitely going to inform a lot of what I'm doing with GeoPro proper, and then also I think we've had a few talks about various discussion series and things like that, and I'm learning how I'm basically going to do some of that with GeoPro and build out some other avenues for supporting people as they go from their idea to developing it into something in the world, whether that's open source software in particular, because some of it, certain things do carry, certain things don't carry in terms of you're making, an open source project. But in terms of the organizational stuff, the project management stuff that we talk about here very often in Bradley's course, there's a lot of important carryover to just like building things in general. So it's been a very interesting week in that front. I'm sorry I won't be able to stay the whole time. I have some other matters to attend to, but as always, I'm happy to answer questions or it's encouraging to see the updates and the posts that were made. And I don't know if they were all sent to Medium or not, but I might try to put continue to publicize them on I'll put things on our LinkedIn and everything else too. So it's really good that we're doing that. I think it's more critical than ever that people know how to put. I don't know. I don't really like using these words, but I don't know what else to say. Like being able to talk about your thing to the public in some form or make some writing. Make a video, but being able to do the writing that's public facing, regardless of how technical you are and what you're doing, I think is such a critical skill. So these little in-house iterations might not seem like they're that important, but it builds up over time. A lot of it is just developing the familiarity of how to communicate the points to people that aren't, in the same room with you.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged by that, and I'll hand the mic back now for comments or questions. But that's all for me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, that sounds great, and I agree that that's a key skill is kind of putting your thing out there in different ways, different media, but kind of breaking things down, because a lot of times we'll publish papers and they just kind of get kind of towed under by all the other papers or all the other things you're doing. And so being able to say, this is what this is why it's important, or this is where we maybe go next, putting in a larger context, those are all important things. So this is a very good skill to have.
There's some things for tomorrow, like cognition features and teleology I'd like to talk about too for a little bit. But that's not time to do that here. And yeah, definitely, and more about that ahead. Outside of, I will do either next time, I'll either just do it live or send the recording around and people can see the presentation that we made. But if there's ever any other questions about professional development or the kind of these sort of non-technical talks that you're interested in, I always try to ask for questions for those things. But yeah, I feel bad because I kind of had to delay it for 2 weeks for very different reasons both times. It's been a family matter that I have to attend to, so I don't have a lot of time right now. But any other questions or topics you'd like to see us talk about, let us know. Do that.
All right. Yeah, that's very good. Thanks for the update, Jesse. So did you have anything to say, Morgan, or did you want to give an update?
Well, one, as I usually say, I would love more time to dive into the presentations that the students did today. Those look awesome. Last night, I attended the Bay Area Microfluidics Network event. So I'm just gonna, following up on the 3D bioprinting, open source 3D bioprinting, be talking tomorrow some about the computational modeling that you do for this kind of microfluidics work, and especially as it relates to the cell modeling. So it was interesting to have these speakers from, kind of like the big finite element commercial software companies talking about how hard it is. They're all coming from computational fluid dynamics backgrounds, thought that whatever microfluidics work would be, super easy, and then they realized that there was cell biology involved. and like your CFD solutions kind of go out the window when you're potentially moving cells around that are like the size of the channel width,
Right.
And things like that was both funny but also interesting to hear about, like how they try to tackle that, and just how sophisticated that is in terms of one of the presenters was basically showing off the PhD thesis of a University of Edinburgh student, was that was very relevant, but also, like related to a very small problem in commercial microfluidics. So this is just to say, this is the technology behind a lot of the bioassays and medical assays that we use in the world.
Right.
And so an extremely valuable technology, and so the computational modeling of it can be useful in some cases. Can also, as one of the speakers said, if it takes me longer to create the models than it does for you to fabricate these devices,
Mm-hmm.
then maybe you should just do experiments.
Yeah.
So anyway, I could say more about it tomorrow. But I definitely want to do an event at the end of this to see get everybody's full summer work presented, and give us another opportunity to check in with this. Anyway.
All right. Well, thank you, Morgan. That was a great update. We'll check in more tomorrow on some of the. I'm really interested in this microfluidics, cell culture, simulation sort of thing that you're putting together, and then of course organoids. We talked about that in last week's Saturday meeting, so that's a place to check out some of that work, and then we'll continue to talk about it going forward.
Yeah, and of course, just to also say that the CompuCell 3D summer school, I forget what he calls it, workshop, is next week.
Okay.
And so it would be a great time to really focus on the kind of computational modeling of cell and developmental biology. And then they do a hackathon the 8th to the 10th. And they're doing that kind of locally in Indiana, or maybe online, but like they have a limited number of participants, but they always do everything very open, like
Right.
they always basically live stream all their events, and we're doing a hackathon, a DSci hackathon the same weekend at our tower here in San Francisco, and anyway, it might be a nice time to kind of try and find small CompuCell 3D kind of simulation project model to play with that would be, say, relevant to one of the projects, to yeah, work on and potentially get some feedback from the CompuCell 3D group. But would love that. And you know, the biggest opportunity that I saw being at you know, in Pittsburgh and CMU for the 3D bioprinting workshop was the kind of lack, I mean, not total lack, but just the difficulty of having simulations be informative.
Yeah.
And you know, I agree with what the speaker said last night. Like, obviously, if it takes too long, or you know, but there's a hole there in terms of the computational modeling of biology that isn't insurmountable. It just is going to take some new approaches and some new ideas. But that to me is an incredible opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should track that CompuCell 3D stuff, because there's nobody really closer to kind of virtual tissue modeling than Glacier's group, or
Yeah.
you know, he certainly leads that kind of work.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good. Thank you. One thing to share before we go for today, from our discussion last week on openwashing. So remember last week we talked about openwashing. We talked about how sometimes corporations will say that they have open projects or they have an open philosophy, when in fact they don't, and they use it as maybe a marketing ploy, or they use it as a way to sort of gain people's confidence and then don't deliver on the promises. And so this is something, I think Jesse posted this in one of the Slack channels. This is from, I think, LinkedIn. So this is where we have this meta, you know, they have their AI models. The LLAMA models are open source, at least nominally. And so then now this person here, Louisa Jurovsky, is kind of posting on this. I didn't go through the her full post, but it says breaking. Meta claims that its AI model Llama 4 is open source. However, according to the latest EU guidelines, the company will likely not be. And then this is basically about how they're, you know, they have a claim that their model was open source, but it's actually not open source according to various standards, and you know that they are using it as basically a way to do things other than sort of this free and open source software standard. And so then Dion Wiggins, who's reposting this, says, "I love it. Meta's openwashing has caught up with it. Llama is not open source." And so apparently what happened was they put the software through these objective tests, and what happened was failing 9 out of 10 of the OSI's open source criterion cannot be bypassed by Meta pouring an open source label on it and wishing it was. So this is basically where they have these different criterion, and the model failed 9 out of 10 of those criterion. So that, you know, that's maybe one way to identify openwashing, is to have these objective criterion for an open source project or an open source approach. And if the project fails, then, you know, we can identify where we have openwashing. And again, openwashing is not about, like, you know, being a fraud or any sort of fraudulent behavior. It's just simply that, you know, we use the term open, and we said, well, there are certain things that need to happen there. You need to have maybe like a license that's, you know, allows for a certain type of reuse, allows for certain, you know, access to things. And then, of course, you need things like APIs that are compatible with doing the things you want to do. So if the API happens to not really give you the access you need, or you can only access the model through an API and maybe not manipulate the code, that's a level of open that maybe is it's open in some sense, but it's not open in the sort of the the full sense. And so, and again, companies will say they're open, they'll do things that are open to them and serve their own needs. Sometimes they need to protect their intellectual property, so they can't open, like, say, the code. Maybe there's a security risk there as well. But, you know, we have to have some set of standards for the term open. We can't just throw it around. And so the last part of this is Jan LeCun blocked me for calling him out on that, but he can't block the EU. So that's a pretty provocative statement. But in any case, I wanted to go over that and just kind of point that out. It's a good example, thank you, Jesse, of open washing and how this is a debate that's kind of unfolding as companies use the term and as we all kind of have expectations of openness. What does it mean to be open, and how can we say something is, say, open in the way we'd like? Because maybe the solution here is to have degrees of open, or like a color coded scheme where you say, well, it's green open, or it's blue open, or it's red open. And this is something that I kind of took from the open science community, where they have levels of open access. So they have gold open access, green open access, and it's just the way in which the paper is published and made available to the public. And sometimes that involves authors paying a fee, sometimes that involves publishers making things available open in an open way, sometimes that involves archiving things. And so there are different standards, and you know what you're getting, though, which is the important point. Jesse?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I have a comment when you're done with the train of thought.
Oh, I'm done.
This is something that's coming up in the data indirection discussion, and honestly, just almost everybody from the MBA things that people that I talk about, but I find it to be, and I don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but I find it to be a lot of the unspoken the things that play, like the influences that play in so much of the talk that we're dealing with, like this open source or open washing stuff is one factor. And it's like what we're getting to is for bigger like I think discussions of open source from Meta, and discussions of open source from Google Summer Code people are almost like in reality two totally different conversations. They aren't, but the things that a lot of the bigger tech groups are doing to wash, you can ethics wash, green wash, tech wash, open wash, are basically economic political maneuvers to justify other things that are happening. And I'm not trying to talk about that, but more like when we're training people to go into the world, I think it's because I mentioned it, but then I'll mention it and people are like, oh yeah, I really want to understand or talk more about what it's like. There's the practice of something, and then there's the practice of it that is sort of relative to big tech playing big tech's very unique big tech game, which may or may not include you at some point as a participant in what they're doing. And then there's a practice for like almost grassroots or community or building up versions of the same thing. And I'm already have been working on things like about like the kind of, and some of the things I know Bradley seem like direction discernment or direction based, etc. And I find it to be like what's emerging in this space, and I do think this is a little bit of. I think there are probably some things here that I'm not fully aware of, but I think what's become like. I'll even say like the Overton window is shifting a little bit as people are going into the space where these things are more and more and more apparent. Like if you're a worker working in a kind of, I'll say a kind of a normal conventional company, the way things are talked about and done are going to be a specific way, and there's certain specific practices that you want to, and you're going to be moving to build in a certain way, and that's very good, and not a bad thing, but like where I'm going with this to kind of rein it in and let us move on to other things or end the meeting. I'm seeing more and more and more articulation of, I guess I'll say top down, and by top down I mean big tech top down messaging about certain practices, and then the grassroots bottom up application of what is it to do a particular practice or ethics or framework. And I think that that's a very interesting divide and a very useful one to understand in terms of, what arena are you operating in? So I know I kind of always say something along those lines, but I think the conversation's evolving as more and more people are doing things in those spaces, and kind of dealing with the messaging around it. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you. All right, so that's all for today. Thanks for attending. Thanks to everyone for their updates, and good luck on your projects going forward.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.
See you. Bye. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.